Would you like to know about an awesome creative activity that you can do with your piano students without any music, without any experience, and of students of any age or level or ability? We'll find out more in this video. Hi, I'm Tim Topham, and in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I do one of the most creative, fun, interesting lessons that is really easy to teach any student, wherever they are in their piano teaching journey. And it's all about the 12-bar blues. And this is actually lesson 1 in my 10-lesson training course for piano teachers, all about teaching the blues. So a lot of people have seen my original video about how to teach the 12-bar blues, which I recorded probably 6 or so years ago. And a lot of people have now been asking me, well, what do you do next? So I decided to put together this course, which will actually take you right through to not just the basics, which we'll cover today for anyone that's new to it, but also what can you then go on to do later on that will keep your kids inspired down the track. So today's lesson is all about starting the chord progression work on the 12-bar blues. And lesson 1 and lesson 2, which are free on my blog at timtopham.com/blues, are designed to work in about a 30-minute lesson with a student. So this first lesson, let's say we'll cover about 15 minutes worth of the lesson. And then lesson number 2, which I'll teach you in video 2, is all about the basic improvising. And those two together can create a fantastic 30-minute lesson plan for any student. Now, the great thing too about learning the blues is that it has an impact on students' abilities in other areas. It's not just about learning jazz, because the structure and the chordal nature of the 12-bar blues is something that will come up in music later on. And guaranteed, if they're learning from a method book, there's going to be some blues pieces in there at some stage. So giving them this background to show how that piece was actually constructed and to help them be able to compose their own music, well, brilliant, right? Now, make sure you do grab a copy of my lesson plans for this lesson from timtopham.com/blues. And if you are interested in more than just lessons 1 and 2, which are free on my blog, and you'd like to explore lessons 3 through to 10, then do make sure that you check it out. It's all available in my InnerCircle piano teaching community, and you can find out more about how to grab your membership at timtopham.com/community. So let's get started with today's lesson. Now, the first thing I do when I teach the blues is to explain to students that really all we need to know is 3 chords. And I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail with them at this stage, because the whole point of this lesson is just to have some really quick wins, really, really fast, and have a whole lot of fun in the meantime. So I would write in their book that the 3 chords that we're going to explore today are the C, F, and G chords. Now, if your students are beginner, they don't know what a chord is, then simply show them that a chord is a stack of 3 notes, where we play one note, we skip a note, play the next note, skip a note, play the next note. Now, with that information, they can play these 3 chords relatively easily. So they need to be able to play a C chord, an F chord, and a G chord. And it doesn't really matter if you want to go downwards, that's totally cool as well. Now, for students with small hands or who struggle, let's talk about fingering first. If they can't play with fingers 1, 3, and 5, which I guess is the standard, then I'm okay with 1, 2, and 4. A lot of students find that quite comfortable, or even 1, 2, and 3. I mean, they're going to be able to be using 1, 2, and 3 eventually when they do arpeggios. So, but whatever works for them. Again, think of this as a creative activity that's designed to just get them involved and using their ears and exploring rhythm and creativity rather than the technical stuff. We can fix up the technical aspect later on. This is just about having fun. So go with the fingering that works, as long as it's not going to injure them, as long as it's not horrendously uncomfortable for them, all right? So let's say they can play those 3 chords. Oh, and if your student has really small hands and can't actually play 3 notes at once, then just go for a 2-note chord. So C and E, F and A, and G and B will totally work as well. So have your student play through those chords and make sure that they're able to move between them, and understand that keeping the hand shape the same will make it much easier. They can just pick up their hand shape and move to the new position. It's all about patterns, right? And that's a good thing for a student to understand at the beginning. Now, when they can play that, the next step is to actually show them the 12-bar blues form, or the chord progression. So I actually tend to write this in their books or on their Google Doc or whatever you're using. The last chord here, some purists would say it should probably be a G chord of some sort, which gives us a bit more of a turnaround feel and leads back to the start. If you want to put a G there, that's okay. But if you and your students are new to this, just keep it simple. Stick with a C at the end. I've done it for many years like that, and it's totally fine. Okay, so the next job would be to get your students to feel a pulse and play this keeping a steady beat. And it's so important for students whenever they're playing any music, regardless of whether they're making something up or they're playing written music, to feel a pulse. How often do you find students, you'll say, all right, let's hear the piece that you've been working on, and they're just bang, straight into it without any sense of pause or how fast they're going to play it or anything like that, right? So do make sure you just stop them and make sure all the time they're feeling a sense of pulse. How fast are they going to play this? Let's hold each chord for 4 counts and we'll give it a shot. We're just going to play with the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Etc. You get the idea. You could move up to the F. It doesn't really matter at this stage. All this is about is getting the students to feel a pulse, be able to count, and be able to move their hands to the different chord shapes, chord positions. All right, so we need to make it a little bit more interesting because that's not going to enthuse a student for very long at all. So we really should add a bass player. And I remind my student that, or I ask them, where does a bass player play? What sound is it, high or low? They'll say low, so we need to go down the low end of the piano. What notes do we use? We just use the root notes of those chords. So we use a C with the C chord, an F with the F chord, and a G with the G chord. If your student just wants to use one finger, totally fine. If they want to use 5, 2, and 1, that can work as well. It really depends on where they're at, because this lesson plan will suit, it doesn't matter how advanced or intermediate or beginner your student is. They can have fun with this regardless of where they're at in their piano training, and they'll love it. Even if they're quite accomplished and have been playing for a number of years, if they've never actually done this exercise, trust me, they'll have a good time doing it. All right, so we could play it through 3, 4, adding now the left hand, etc. All right, so the next big hint I've got for you is to make sure that you grab an app so that you can play along to some musical instruments. And the app that I recommend for this is called iReal Pro. iReal Pro is a brilliant app. If you haven't bought this, then this is your time. Just go and grab it. I guarantee you will find an immense number of uses for it. And I've got a lot of them on my blog, and certainly a lot of instructions about how I use this for chord drills and things like that in my members area too. It's a great app for 12-bar blues because playing what we've just been doing, those chords, is going to get very boring very, very quickly. Okay, so what we're going to do now is use iReal Pro with the student. So all we do, press play and play along. Here we go. And you get the idea. I mean, instantly, you've got a far more interesting experience for the students because they sound like they're playing along to a real band, right? And that's what jazz is all about. It's about feeling the groove and playing along with other instruments. So really, really important. If you want to just explore this idea about using backing tracks, then I've actually given you an exported version of this on the blog page, timtopham.com/blues, which might be the page you're watching this on now. But if you're on YouTube, you can head there to grab that. And that will get you started. So if you don't want to buy this app straight away, you can download that and you can give it to your student as well. So you've got another backup. If you do have the app or you grab it, and again, I'll highly recommend it, then I've also got the link to import this chord chart straight into iReal Pro so you don't have to write it out. So it's like 2 clicks, this is in there, press play, you're ready to go. All right, so the next step I tend to do with students is to get them to play the chords in both hands, like this. Now, we know that this isn't going to sound very nice, chords down low on the piano. It's not about that. It's just about getting them in a hand position, ready for the next step, which will be a simple walking bass line. So again, backing track goes on pretty much every time now, and we play along. right? And when they're comfortable with that and they're able to move around, then we break up the chord in the left hand. And repeat the right hand chord at the start of each bar. Now, if the student is having trouble with the moves, totally fine. In iReal Pro, you can change the tempo incredibly simply just by hitting that tempo, the 100 tempo, which we're on at the moment. Now, the one other thing to remind students is that we've got 4 beats in a bar. So the pattern for each left hand is this: 2, 3, 4. It doesn't finish there. The pattern actually stops here. So when they're about to move to a new chord position, they won't finish the pattern. So I sometimes say this: jump, just to remind them. And again here, jump now. Just to remind them that they're not playing 5 beats in the bar, otherwise we're going to get very out of sync and it's not going to sound too crash hot. All right, so that is the basic idea of playing the chords for the 12-bar blues. In jazz terms, this is known as comping. It just means the accompaniment part. If we were in a jazz trio of some sort, then I wouldn't even need to do this because the bass player would do that. And in a later lesson in this training course, I'll actually teach you about how we can put the chords in the left hand and do some improvising in the right hand. So that's it for this first lesson. And again, this is, I guess, half of a 30-minute lesson that you could do with most students. Or maybe if they're a slow learner, it's 1 lesson's worth. So that's why I've put it as a separate chunk of information. So in the next video, I'm going to explain to you the basics of blues improvising. And with those 2 things together, your students are going to have an absolute blast playing around with this, guaranteed. Thanks for watching Module 1 of my Teaching the Blues training course. As I said before, there's heaps of information and a lesson plan download for you available at timtopham.com/blues. Make sure you grab the lesson plan. Make sure you also get the link to buy iReal Pro from there and also the link to download this chord chart. You're going to love this. And if you're going to do this course, you need this app because it's just so much fun. All right, I'll see you in video 2.
If the idea of a piano teachers community where you get to access the best educational resources, rub shoulders with expert teachers from around the world, and have immediate access to feedback for any of your questions, then InnerCircle membership is for you. The InnerCircle is my private community of piano teachers from across the globe who share a commitment to creating and delivering the most inspiring, modern and progressive learning experiences for their students. Membership is now open, so head to timtopham.com/community to find out more and get involved today. I can't wait to see you on the inside.